Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Five Door Media Sales Podcast series. My name is Drew Larison. This is a series that we are talking to some of the top professionals in the home service industries on how they are changing the game of sales within their own companies and the companies they represent. Because we do know in the world of marketing, the leads mean nothing if those leads are not being transferred over into sales. So what we're talking about is, breaking down what it takes to turn opportunities into revenue, revenue into profit, profit into freedom, and freedom into impact. Let's get into today's conversation. Jonas Olson is the founder of Pest Badger. He began his entrepreneurial journey at the age of 12. He was inspired to start his own lawn care business after seeing a professional lawn treatment service at his aunt and uncle's house and noting the service's invoice. This early experience ignited his passion for the industry, leading him to establish Olson's own landscape in 2009 and later Pest Badger in 2021. In addition to pest control and lawn care ventures, Jonas expanded into holiday lighting services. He began installing holiday lights in 2002, partly to keep his crew employed year-round. Jonas also hosts the Pest Control Millionaire podcast, where he shares insights and experiences from his entrepreneurial journey to help others in their industry. Jonas, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Drew. I feel like it's been a while, but it's only been a few weeks. So
Yeah.
we've seen you again.
That Pest Care Millionaire, I was on your show not too long ago and had a great time.
Cool. How's it going?
So good. What's happened in the last few weeks? What's been going on?
Oh, there's always a lot moving. We got 4 offices opening this spring, so we're always, plan of attack. I was down at their next location for a couple of days, just going over that stuff, strategy, going into it, hiring the right people, moving some people down there. So there's a lot going on as usual. Plus all the other stuff that we do with on a daily basis. But things are good. We've been recruiting like crazy. I got a lot of sales guys coming through the funnel and hiring, so it's been really good. Getting ready for a big launch.
How many franchises are you up to now?
So we technically have 0 franchises. We franchised 2 years ago, but I have not sold any. I thought maybe in the future, if things start to slow down, we can get enough people in fast enough that we would franchise. We have not yet. We have not actively tried to sell any, but currently we're at 14 locations.
Yeah, locations, I guess, was my question. You're up to 14
so we're at 14 locations as of the day we speak,
Amazing. Awesome.
So there's a few more in the pipeline, but I'm probably going to put those on hold until next year, 2026.
Gotcha. Take it easy. Take it slow.
Yeah.
Make sure it's good. Awesome. So as I talked about, today's conversation is really about the topic of sales, and I know that might be weird for some people to hear a marketing agency podcast talking about sales, but we really do recognize the leads that we provide, the information and the attention that we gain for our clients really means nothing if those leads are not turning into sales and they're seeing direct monetary ROI. So I like to ask this question. Do you remember, and I kind of got a little story in your bio, but do you remember the first thing you ever sold?
First thing that I ever sold? As far as the business goes?
No, just literally even little baby Jonas. What were you selling back in the days? You know what I mean? What was the first transaction that you sold?
I was the kid who was setting up lemonade stands, selling cards, whatever I could. So even young, 8, 10, 12, I was out there on the weekends with a lemonade stand. I was always selling something. I was flipping cars in high school, things like that. So I always had something going on for sure. And then later on, I got into shoes, started selling shoes.
So you got the sneaker world. You got into the sneakers.
I did.
Nice. Very cool. You still do any of that today?
No, not really. No. I'd love to get back into it someday, but it's just kind of a passion that I have. So now I just collect shoes and a bunch of glass cases that I keep them in. It's fun. I love shoes. I always have, since I was young.
It's your art, those shoes.
Yeah.
Well, do you have a sale that you're maybe most proud of?
Ooh. When I sold the company, probably the first company, that was a pretty good process. I learned a lot through that. It's a big sale. Not that I was the only one selling it, but
sure,
probably the one that I'm most proud of. It's a big transaction.
What year was that?
2021.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I sold my first company in 2021, and then started Pest Badger in 2020. And like I said, I had 2 businesses side by side. And I saw the scalability of this one.
Yeah,
I liked this model way better, and so I sold that company. Went all on this.
Gotcha. Love it. Very cool. So today's conversation is about sales, and sales is a unique thing, similar to marketing. And as time goes on, that sales and marketing really do become more connected than they've ever have been before. But everybody seems to have a different sales philosophy. How they look at sales. Everybody kind of looks at it through a different lens. What would you say your sales philosophy is? What is something that maybe how you look at sales that might be different than somebody else?
Um, Two things come to mind. One is like circling back to my first sale on the door. Walking up to my first door, I'd never door knocked a day in my life, and scared out of my mind. My heart was beating like crazy, but I had to do it. So I took a breath, stepped away, and then walked back to the door. And actually, the first door I ever knocked, I sold. So I
Beautiful.
still remember that one. The lady actually had a dog that was allergic to wasps, so worked out pretty good in my favor. So I still remember that one, and then I think I did like 17 in a day.
Mm-hmm.
Still remember that day. I don't remember all the sales, but I remember that day. Then sales philosophy, for me, like a big thing is speed to lead.
Mm.
Like the faster you get to the lead, the faster you respond, uh, the higher quality process you have, the faster you get to them, the better. I think the latest stat that I saw was like after 5 minutes
Yeah.
of not returning the customer or texting back, you lose 80%. It's a
80%.
super 80% drop off
It's wild.
after 5 minutes.
Yeah, I've heard
So I
that through
mean,
these
they're just
conversations
calling
so
the next
far.
person. Yeah,
Yeah, through these like speed to lead's been a very popular conversation.
yeah,
I had a conversation with somebody yesterday, and they were also on that 5 minute mark. Like if we're
yeah,
not getting back to them or having some sort of communication through text, email, phone,
yeah.
whatever it is, within 5 minutes, giant red flag. Like
Absolutely.
they were waving their red flags if it's not
Yeah.
within 5 minutes.
So if you can automate that process, or you have automatic responders built in, so they're contacting the customer right away, just keeping them engaged until you can get someone on the phone, the better.
Yeah.
Or if you can sell through via text, whatever. And then just knowing your craft and teaching your sales guys, like you said, you could have CSRs that are in there that are great talking on the phone, but they're just not salespeople. And maybe they could be, they just don't have a process on how to sell. They don't ask the right questions. So giving them some sort of script, which is like a skeleton, they don't have to be like robotic, but just giving them the skeleton of the question that they should ask, and then not letting them go past that next question until they've answered the first question to get to the next step. So we built a sales process for our internal team, external sales guys team. Just make sure that the script's roughly the same, the skeleton is roughly the same. They can kind of go off and add their own personality to it.
Gotcha. Well, and you mentioned it and at first, but like one thing I know about you, and we've had many conversations through the years about it, is you are a believer in that door to door sales still. Like door to door is not dead to you,
Yeah,
right?
not at all. Yeah.
So I know you said for you even you had to like step back from that door for a second and like gather yourself before you go back to the door. That
Definitely.
is one of those things that makes door to door terrifying for people, right?
For sure.
It's one thing to get hung up on a phone call, but when you get a door slammed in your face, it's a whole different experience, right?
For sure.
But at the same time, learning how to take a no is a key to being in sales in general. So, like, walk me through, which that's amazing. Your first door you knocked on, you closed that sale, but like,
Yeah.
I'm guessing the second one didn't go well, or maybe the third. So, like, walk me through that process where you built up that mental strength to be able to do door to door, because everybody goes to that classic like door to door vacuum salesman way back in the day, right?
For sure.
And, like
Yeah.
they're kind of like equal to car salesmen, and like people think they're just naturally slimy,
Yeah.
type of salespeople.
Mm-hmm.
Walk me through how you've grown in that and how now it's a big part of your company.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's the way most people see sales, like you said, is like the slimy sales guy. So people have the bad connotation to begin with. And I teach my guys, like, we are out there trying to help people, and we're solving their problems. That's all we're doing. If they have issues, we want to be there to solve it. And they might just have a problem that day. Drew, you have no idea how many times we walked up to that door, knocked on the door, and they're like, "Oh, you do pest control?" They're like, "Oh my god, we were just talking about this, my husband or wife last night on the phone," or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, we were just looking for someone. We just haven't found anyone yet, and we show up at the door. So it happens a lot. People just have problems, and we're there to take care of it. So I don't look at it as slimy at all. I look like we're just out there helping people. And yeah, the first sale, I got lucky the first door. But it was like, again, I feel like someone was like kind of looking down on me. Like, I had to do it. I didn't have a choice. It was COVID. My other business was shut down at the time.
Oh,
I
even
couldn't work
COVID
it.
makes that even crazier too. I
Yeah.
didn't know that. You know what I mean? Because then people are.
Yeah.
I was terrified to touch a gas pump during the early parts of
And
COVID,
we
let
didn't,
alone
and
open my
we
door
didn't,
to a stranger.
yeah. And we didn't know, like, I didn't know what was going to happen. We were a brand new company. I didn't want to be in the doors with COVID going on. I didn't know.
Yeah.
And so, but again, it was like March 16th, my daughter's birthday. The world shut down. We just got through a long winter. We had a little bit of snow. We had contracts enough to get us through, breaking even, but like we're run out of cash. And I just like, well, what am I going to do? I can't sit here and do nothing. Well, Wisconsin's 2 hours away. So I literally started driving every single day, two and
Wow.
a half hours, and just started knocking doors. And again, I got lucky my first door. And then the rest of the day, I think I sold at first, like, oh, I can do this. And I sold like 3 or 4. And I didn't really know what I was doing
Yeah.
at the time, but I read enough and watched enough YouTube University, and then just I didn't have a choice. My back was against the wall. I needed to have some cash. I needed to keep things going. A family to take care of. I had kids. I got the business back at home that needs to get bills paid for. So I was in a tough spot, to be honest with you. And so it had to work. And so that's what happened. So the
Sometimes
mental
that's
fortitude, it didn't give me a choice.
yeah. Sometimes that's the best place to be, where
And
you
now that's
have.
and that's by
Yeah,
far our biggest branch.
I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, sometimes that desperation, in a way, is like
Yeah.
those are the best places to be.
And like so,
I've thought a
COVID.
lot lately about like when I'm feeling comfortable is when I start getting itchy. Like, wait a
Yeah.
minute, things are too good, right? And like sometimes I notice the best leadership I'm providing for my staff is when things are crazy, right?
sure.
Because I get comfy when things aren't crazy, and then I slide on a lot of things. But like when things are really bumping, that's when I'm like, all right, this is where they need you the most. Like this is where
Yeah.
you show up, and it's when your back's against the wall.
Yeah. So then I started to get good at it, like not as good as I am now, or not as great as my team is now. Like team's incredible, but this is what they do every day, all day. And so, my last, like I said, my other company was shut down. I took my operations manager because I wasn't working. I brought him down there with me. He started doing the tech work because at first I was selling the job and then going out there and doing the pest control, like the actual job itself.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started to get a little bit better. So I'm selling like 6 to 8 a day. And then he could just follow me around and actually do the service for me. And then from there, I hired like 2 to 3 people, brought them down there, taught them how to do it. One was my brother, one was another guy named Jeremy, and had like 3 guys selling with me. Like in their first year, and everyone's home because of COVID. Like everyone
Yeah.
is home. Everyone has extra money. People were just happy to like see other people to talk with them. And this is like, I'd say like mid-June
Yeah.
at this point. Like when I finally started, it's like I have to go do something. So people were just happy that we were there talking to them, and we got a few, but very, 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 very few. People was like, we came out wearing a mask, step back.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We were trying to be safe, so we'd stand back 10, 12 feet. And if they weren't interested, we're just we weren't going to push the issue. Just go to the next door. And that's how Pest Badger started. And then, like I said, now it's our biggest branch, and that's where I was like, okay, I can do this. And then all I had to do is replicate myself over and over and over again. And then I have the leaders, the trainers that can train my current guys. So that's how it started. And then now we're shooting to have 200 guys on the doors this year. We're almost close already. We're at like one. Last time I think it's Tuesday. How many days is it anymore? But we're at like 160. So our goal is to have 200 on the doors by May 1st.
So we've talked about this as well. Like, talk about your sales recruiting process, because even
Yeah.
that you've got some hacks and like some things that make that pretty unique. Because I mean, 200 salespeople, probably for the average home service business owner, it's like that's absurd. Like that's so
Yeah.
many people.
It is.
How have you got there, and like what are some things you've learned to like not just scale a business but scale a sales department?
Yeah. There's a lot to unpack there, but I honestly, and like it's super cliche, but I couldn't do it without the team that I have now, obviously. But even early on, like, go to the people that that are close, like, that are younger. Maybe if you're older, find some of your kids' friends. If you're younger, 19, 20 to 25, a lot of those people, like start with your friends. Even if people like have jobs, doesn't mean that they're happy working 9 to 5. Give them the freedom to go out there and make as much money as they want. So start there. Like start with so quick hack. Like I call it a hundreds list. So we make all of our guys go through all their contacts in their phone, go through their contacts on Instagram, Facebook, and what LinkedIn, social media, whatever they have. Take the top 100 people that they want to work with and put them on a list. Of those 100 people, narrow it down to the top 10 who you think would be great and who you want to work with. And you have 100 people right there. And if you have 5 people that you bring on, you have 500 contacts. And all of a sudden you have 50 people that you can currently reach out to.
Yeah.
Like even if you got 1% or 10% of those, that's 5 people right there. It's not hard, but
And then
you
it
just got to
just
be active.
compounds
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you have 50 guys doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're bringing in referrals. It just got way easier over time,
So are all these sales positions like a seasonal job?
Not all, but the majority of them are in the summer. You know, for
Yeah.
us, it's a busy time. We have 10 feet of snow and we had negative 35 degrees yesterday.
Yeah. Dear God.
No one wants to knock doors in the winter, although we
No.
have our coldest sale was like 16 degrees or 12 degrees or whatever it was. So we have done it. Um, one of my one of my accounts I sold on a cul-de-sac at 18 degrees to a doctor. So it is doable. People still
Yeah.
have issues in the winter. You just got in like again, you just got to be out there and put yourself out there to find out, you know. And so I'd say a majority of them are, but then a lot, I'd say 50 of those are full time.
How good does it feel, by the way, to be like the old boss who'd be like, "Oh, when I was your age, I sold it at
Yeah,
16 degrees outside. You guys are complaining."
yeah.
The walk uphill both ways kind of
Yeah,
stories,
I
but
mean,
for door to door.
there was a joke like our second, third summer in, it'd start raining, and then as soon as that, I'd draw like a circle in the road, and as soon as a drop of water hit that from the rain, they were done. It was kind of like a
Got it.
standing joke. So,
Yeah.
but they've gotten a lot better, and they're they're tough. Like my crew is tough. They're good.
Yeah. They're hungry. And like I know you've one of the hacks you've told me is you specifically one of your niches for salespeople are collegiate athletes that are off
Yeah.
season, right?
Yep.
Because I mean, yeah, to do door to door sales, it's a lot of walking, right? It's
Yeah,
a
it's like a
physical,
sport. It
yeah,
really is. So
yeah. I
we
mean, when you get
run
in the competitive part of it and all of that.
and we make it super competitive too, right? Like we literally run competitions, daily competitions, hourly competitions. We have monthly competitions and year long competitions. We gave away a Tesla this year. So
Wow.
the top sales guy won a new Tesla, and Jackson's a stud. Uh, he sold over 1,000 accounts this year himself. You know, so he's 19 years old, he won a Tesla, and like you start doing things like that, things that you can do to give back to your team, a lot
Hmm.
of incentives, and it doesn't have to be extravagant. Like a car was 5 years in, you know, or 4 years in.
Yeah.
Um, but like it's shoes, it's watches, whatever, you know, like even like a something simple as like a branded shirt that no one else will have,
Mm.
or a branded hat that no one else will have. Like they go crazy for that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like that demographic of people that we're looking for. Like it seems like most guys that we have are collegiate athletes. You know, like they know what it takes to be told no. They know what work ethics like
Yeah.
they're used to working out on their own, going to the gym, and that's what it takes out there. Like again, knocking 100 doors a day and get told no all the time. It gets hard, but the people who have been through hard things before, it's not as hard, you know. And
Mm.
it's but I tell the guys like, well, it's hard. Certain people like hard compared to what? You're not out there in the middle of a ditch with a shovel like in a 100-degree day. You're walking around or you know, on your Segway knocking on doors. And it's not like you're in another country where you can't do anything different, you know? So
Yeah.
again, choose your hard. And it's really not that hard.
I love that.
But
Gave away a
it just
Tesla.
takes a
Yeah.
while. Like people expect to go out there and sell something on their first day. And it just typically doesn't happen. One of my best sales guys and best recruiter, he bageled, which means he got 0 sales for 2 weeks straight. But I knew him. He was a wrestler. He believed in himself. And then I dropped a sale in front of him and it just clicked. And from
Mm.
there on out, he's a machine. So like if you guys bring in people and not selling right away, it's okay. You know, everyone just learns at a quicker pace, but then once it clicks, it clicks.
Well, there's the reality of that psychological being on a winning streak, right?
Yeah.
I think his name's
Yeah.
Charlie Rocket. He's like an internet personality that's done a lot over the internet, and he's kind of coined that mentality of like being on a winning streak. You know,
Yeah.
even like little things. When you wake up in the morning and your coffee is just great. It's just a
Yeah.
great. I'm on a winning streak. I had great coffee this morning. What else? What's going to happen next? You know, and sometimes, like you said, like drop that sale in front of them that you know is
Yeah.
going to close, and amazing what could happen after that.
Yep. And
Gotcha.
we were actually in Arizona, so we sold in a bunch of different states. We were trying to figure this thing out. Like I was
Mm.
literally flying these guys to Florida, Texas, Arizona in the middle of winter. Like we had never even started. Like it's our first or second summer, so we were like going up there just to practice. So we've done a lot of different things just to try to get better. And then you go sell out in a spot like Arizona or Florida, Texas, where there's a ton of competition. And you have to get better.
Yeah.
Then you come back here where no one at the time was really doing it, which they have now because we had a lot of success with it. But come back here and we just lit it up. It was great, you know.
So tell me this. Would it be fair to say that you kind of look at your company? We are a sales company that just happens to do pest control.
Um, I mean, kind of, but I think of that. We and yes, I know what you're saying, but I feel like we're in the
Not saying you
customer.
don't do good service, but
No,
you
no,
know what
but
I
I'm
mean?
saying like for me, like we're in the customer service industry.
Mm,
So we're doing customer service that just happens to do sales and pest control. Is sales a huge portion of our business? Obviously, but
yeah.
again, the customer is the most important thing. So customer service is probably what I hit on the most. But yeah, we're a sales machine that just happens to sell pest control too.
Got it. Nice. Um, I know we've talked about speed to lead and we've talked about like finding the right people, which I've got more
Yeah,
questions about training
sure.
later on. But like,
Yeah,
what is maybe one thing? Because you talk to a lot of home service business owners, right? Like
yeah,
you are hella in this space all the
yep,
time. What is one thing you're seeing, no matter the size of business,
yep.
maybe someone who's starting out and they're 500,000 a year or up to someone who's doing 10 million plus a year. What is one thing that you consistently see people not doing when it comes to the sales process? Like what's like the most common mistake you see?
I mean, just following up, like I've seen so many people that had 150, 200 leads, which you and I have talked about before, that never even contacted them back. And like, oh, well, my marketing company's doing a crappy job. Like,
Yeah.
well, what's your close rate? Oh, they're like, well, it's probably like, what do you mean by probably? But yeah, it's probably like 20, 30%. Well, okay, do you know that data? Well, no. Well, then how do you know? So what I would say is like most people just don't know. Um, the data. They don't know how many leads they got, how much, what their closing percentage, what their customer acquisition cost, what their LTV is, and it's like dialing into that.
Mm.
So like, okay, hey, we got 50 inquiries this week, and we sold 25 of them, sort of 50% close rate. Our customer acquisition costs $100, and LTV is 1,500. It's like, okay, well, you can sell that all day long,
Mm-hmm.
So then if you get 80%, you probably raise prices, So there's just a bunch of different stuff, but that would be like very, very small things. From there, I would say follow up. So the people that maybe contacted them the first time, like the money's in the follow up.
Mm.
Like just staying on top of those leads. Make sure you have an automated system built out where it's reminding them of text messages, emails, then making a to do for your sales team to call and following up with the customers because they might have saw your quote that you sent over after the first conversation and they had one question about one part of your service, whether it be a bush or a window cleaning, whatever. And they just had that one little question, like, oh, yeah, I've been meaning to reach out, but I had a question about this. Cool. You solved that question for me, sign them up. So
Yeah.
that'll probably be two biggest leagues right there. And then obviously we talked about the speed lead thing already, but
Yeah.
I'd say those are the big leagues right there.
Yeah. So knowing your numbers is huge, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, you and I have had conversations about that. And I think as marketing agency, like that's something every day goes by, we like start taking that more and more seriously. And we are
Yeah.
having, which is crazy to say, but from what I hear, not a lot of agencies have these conversations. We have lead quality conversations,
Yeah.
like looking at the leads that are coming in and communicating to the client. How are these working out? What's their close rate? What are some objections you're hearing back and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff? But just knowing those numbers, because a lot of times you're right. And honestly, it sucks for us, but like we're the first ones to blame
For
sometimes,
sure.
that
And that's
agency.
what's hard about being in your industry as a
Yeah.
marketing company because you can get them leads all day long, quality leads, and if they're not following up with them and then they don't get anything return on their investment, you're
Yeah,
like,
but even
it's your
even
fault.
more so, they could, and we've seen this a few times lately. And I love our clients that like they allow us to help them walk through this process instead of just like shutting it down, right? Because that's easy to do as well.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah,
had a
for
few
sure.
scenarios where our clients are not aware of the numbers, so we help them figure out those numbers. And we've had a few lately that told us I was ready to cancel because I just wasn't seeing the cash in my account go up as much as I wanted it to.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
It's
I'm
just not
like,
how it
okay,
works.
but there are many reasons why cash slowly disappears, and it's not just because of marketing. So we were able to find out, like, oh, actually, you were spending money on this XYZ that you didn't even realize. Like that wasn't, you know what I mean? Like there's so many more things that go into cash flow problems than just marketing spend.
For
And then
sure.
we found out, like, oh, actually, you're closing a lot of the leads we're sending over. It's these other things going on in your budget that you just weren't aware of. That's what's depleting your cash. Cut those off and watch the things go up to the right. So like knowing those numbers like the back of your hand is just so important, but also like finding a marketing partner that will, like I said, walk you through that and
Yeah.
not just like, well, there's the leads. Our job's done. I just, I,
Yeah.
I don't believe that to be true. Yeah.
And then another thing that because you talk about is like just tracking the source code. how important it is, and that way you can dive down and say, hey, customer acquisition costs through Facebook,
Yep.
Google, LSA, whatever. You can track those. Like, okay, well, this is how many leads are coming through. This is the quality. This is what the retention is on these accounts. Like looking at all that data, and be like, hey, now I know that I can take half my budget and put it in this thing because it's double down on that because it's working better. So
Yeah.
it's really dialing in, and then from there, just upselling your current customers. Then through via email or phone calls or text messages, and running those campaigns once a month, all year round. Like that's how you make your LTV, a little bit bigger. So like your customer acquisition cost gets better. So it's things like that you just have to really track. But that's where I would start for sure.
Let's talk about follow up,
Yeah,
because I don't know, I'm newer to this hosting side of the
for sure.
podcast world. I've been on
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot of podcasts, but hosting is a whole different thing. And something I'm learning is similar in the world of sales. The gold is in those follow up questions, in those conversations, right? Like that's where like the good nuggets really come from, not from
yeah.
like the list of questions I have in front of me. It's the questions that come after the questions. Let's talk about your follow up process. What does that look like? A question we get asked a lot, or a statement we hear a lot, is like, well, I just don't want to bug them too much, where, no pun intended, I don't want to like bug them too much to where they don't like me or they think less of us because they won't leave me alone. But also, I'm one of the believes you bug them until they tell you to stop bugging them, right? But like,
Yeah.
walk me through your philosophy in the follow up, because you're right. Like that's where a lot of the gold comes from, and a lot of people, we talk a lot about leads, we talk about inbound, we talk about outbound. I feel like there's not a lot of conversation about that follow up, which in the reality, like that can be the most important part.
Yeah, and I would say exactly. I agree with you 100%. I would rather be known as the company that calls you too many times to get a hold of you than the person that didn't return a phone call
100%.
all day long.
Yeah.
So, we have like a 21-day sales process with text messages, emails, follow up phone calls. And I try typically not even to send an estimate, like, because even if it comes in via text message and automation is built out, but I usually try not to even send the estimate till the end of the day without getting them on the phone or talking back and forth via text first. And then from there, if we haven't heard from them, we're going to follow up, probably twice a day via text message and phone call all the way through 21 days. And at 21 days, it's pretty much at a point where like, hey, we're doing this for you. We're trying to get a hold of you. We're trading and I go from here. And they usually respond. So like, oh yeah, just close it out, so let's move forward. So we're contacting them. I think don't quote me on this, but I think there's like 14 touch points in this 21-day period via text, email, and phone calls.
Well, let's talk about formatting then too, or which format you're following up on.
Yeah.
Are you leaving that up to the customer, or is it one of them might be an email, one might be a phone, one may be a text, or how are you splitting that up? Because that's a
So a
big
lot of
portion
it's
too.
just
I'm seeing
at
a
this
lot of
point,
customers
yeah. A lot
enjoying
of
the
this point,
text.
yeah. A lot of this point, like whichever way they like to communicate. Usually if they come in through email, they come in through text message, or they come in through a phone call, is how they like to communicate. So if they're sending us a text message, they want to respond to text messages. So we're going to respond first via text message. They send us email for sales. We're going to follow up with an email. Will we still try to call? Yes, we're still going to make that original phone call. They usually don't answer, so we'll respond with an email. So
Gotcha.
they're
Yeah.
pretty much telling you which way they like to communicate.
Follow their lead.
Yeah, and we will. And like a lot of it, again, which you probably know, is like a lot of it's automated at this point. Like the sales process automated, make sure that they're instantly getting a text back. Doesn't matter what platform. Like again, speed to lead. Like we have like a minute delay. So as soon as they hit the submit form button, like we're contacting them already,
Yep.
and like we're in their face, and we want. Obviously, we're paying for these leads, so we have to close them. And then
Absolutely.
from there,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter which service you're in. It could be home cleaning, it could be roofing, doesn't matter. But if you guys sell inspections and you guys want to do in-home inspections, things like that, you want to set appointments, I would say give yourself like a 2-hour window. I see where a lot of companies make mistakes saying, hey, we're going to be there at 11. And then all of a sudden their job before that takes a little bit too long. And then they're 5 or 10 minutes late. Then they look bad. So, I mean, take the philosophy from like whatever, like a clean, like the power company or like
Yeah.
utility company. Like they don't give you UPS. Like they don't give you exact time they're gonna be there. They say, hey, your package is gonna be here between 11 and 2, or your direct TV or whatever is gonna be here between 12 and 3. Like give that 2-hour window. It gives you a little bit of time, a little bit of leeway to make the appointment, but then also if you run a bit late, not to upset the customer.
Yeah, yeah, because you can frustrate them with too big of a window, right?
Yeah, and then
'Cause-
it's I
yeah,
feel like it's just easier to go off budgeted times throughout the day. Like, hey, they can run this many estimates per day, so that's what we like to do.
talk me through your sales department and how it's set up because we've talked about have a lot of like that
Yeah.
outbound sales through door to door, but then also
Yep.
you obviously have leads that are incoming.
Yeah.
What are those two teams like? In the office sales compared to the field sales, are they working together? Are they on the same team? Or are they kind of separate but doing similar things?
Um, I'd say we're all on the same team because, like, a lot of times what'll happen, and you can probably see this as a frustration with both sides. The guy goes out and knocks the door. They get the lead. They don't sign up. But then 3, 4 days later, they call and sign up. Well, who do you give the commissions to? The guy who got the lead or the guy who in the office? So what we like to do is we split commissions on those because
Got
we'd
it.
never got the lead with the guy in the door, but we'd never closed the deal if it went to call. So that's why we do that. But we have an outbound sales team, inbound sales team. They are totally separate. So we have, I think there's, right now it's not super busy. I think we're down to 5 inside sales guys. We'll probably be double that within the next month. We know we have a few guys starting this week too, and girls. Um, so they're just constantly doing inbound phone calls, text messages, outbound follow up, and then also we have our sales team going out here next month and a half or so. So
Gotcha.
there'll be a lot going on soon. But they're two totally separate teams.
Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about training.
Yeah.
This is something I've intentionally wanted to bring up with every guest so far. And honestly, it's been some similar answers, some broad, some different. Like, what does the hiring process look like? What does the training process look like for you when it comes to sales roles?
Yeah. So I feel like a lot of people make a lot of mistakes through here. Not that we're perfect, but we've been figuring it out.
Yeah.
Is onboarding that your sales guy, like how to get him the most impact right away, how to get them fastest sale right away, and also quality train on the phone. So we do a training every single day from 9 o'clock to 9:45 every day, role playing every day. And then in the off season, we're also doing we have like an hour to hour and a half trainings on Tuesdays and Thursdays, where all the sales guys, girls show up from 7 to 9 o'clock at night, and we just talking
Wow.
about the process, talking about the bugs, talking about objections, talking about everything you can do with sales, competition, whatever's going on in the company like that. So, um, I mean, we're doing a lot of role playing, a lot of training, and then like out in the doors, kind of like the phones, we're gonna do the same thing. They're gonna listen to pitches, they're gonna listen to scripts, people live calls. They're gonna listen to a lot of recorded calls.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna see live trainings on the doors. We're not gonna send you out there that's never knocked the door before, like I did. And they're going to shadow for a few days, and then we're going to shadow them for a few days. We're going to get them a few deals, get them comfortable, and then from there they'll kind of go on their own. But training for us is very, very, very important. Like we
Yeah.
train every day. There's not a day that goes by that we miss.
Yeah. And because you can always be
Even,
getting better, right? And like if you have
yeah,
those
even with our
recorded
CSRs, we're
calls
training
and
with them. Inside sales guys, we're training them. The outside sales guys, we're training them daily.
love that.
And then
So
we have a whole platform built out too. So like when they're first onboarded, the first thing they do, it automatically syncs up. They have to watch all the videos, take quizzes. There's probably 5 to 8 hours somewhere in there of content that they have to go through and watch, and like objection handling, the common objections, what is an objection versus a smoke screen, how to figure out what's what, like smoke screen hopping and things like that. You go through all this, and they have to watch this program. Like built the training. They go through that. And they have to follow, take the little quiz, and then pass it, and then goes into daily training from there, and then how to use all of our technology and things like that. So
sure.
training's been a very, very big thing, I'd say, within the last 2 years.
Gotcha. So before they get trained, they need to get hired, right? So tell
Right.
me if you're probably not in this process anymore. You have the sales managers hiring these
Yep.
people, but like,
Yep.
what is one thing your company looks for that you're like, that is the difference maker between what I think is going to be a good salesperson compared to a
Yeah.
great salesperson? Like, what's that
And
one thing you're looking for?
for me, honestly, like it's attitude. Like I can teach you how to sell anything. I really can. But if you just have a bad attitude, like I can't help you. If you have a bad attitude and you're good at sales, like I still can't help you. I'd rather have someone that's brand new with a great attitude that's willing to work that I can teach. So that's what we're looking for right off the rip. It's like,
How
do
do
they
you
have a
interview
really
for
good
that?
attitude? Yeah. What's that?
How
You
do you
can
interview
tell.
for attitude?
You can tell. Like school, we ask them like what their goals are. Like, where do you see yourself? You know, like, and if they don't have like big dreams or don't want to really do anything, we can't really help that. If they just
Yeah.
want to have a 9 to 5 job, cool. It's just probably not going to work out here.
Yeah.
Well, and we honestly, Drew, we don't hire everyone that we interview. Like we literally have this week alone, I bet you we have 50 interviews and we'll probably hire 7 to 10. There's probably more interviews than that at this point, but like
Sure.
we're just not hiring anyone. We want quality people in here.
Which is a common assumption when you're hiring at the scale you are, that you'll
Yeah.
just take anybody, right? But like
Yeah.
you're
But
being more
so that's
picky.
what everyone think. Oh yeah, let us take anyone, but it's not like we have in the past for sure, and we made a lot of mistakes through it. But it's like learning through those mistakes and what our profile is and who we're trying to go after. Like we're gonna target those people, and if they interview, great, and if they think that we're gonna be a good fit for our team, and they're not gonna hurt our culture. It's super competitive. It's fun. All the guys enjoy being around it. We don't want anyone to ruin that. So it's definitely changed in the last couple of years, and now we just don't hire everyone.
You know what that is it's mature decision making, right?
For sure.
I think one of the key things to just the idea of adulting or like maturity, and this comes with a company or just a person, is that classic like make a decision today that your tomorrow self will thank you for. And like that's what you're describing, right? Like make those hiring decisions today that you know will not be a headache later down the road.
Right.
And obviously nobody's perfect. You're going to hire a bum every now and then because they interviewed really well, right? But like
But we
that's a
and we don't
mature
even
decision.
we typically won't we're not going to just run one interview with them.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna and we flip the script and we just straight up tell them like, hey, we don't hire everyone. What makes you better than the next person? And we make them sell us every single time.
Yeah.
And then
Love that.
so then we'll go through the first interview and it's probably half hour, 45 minutes, and then we're like, cool, we're gonna chat about it, and we'll run a second interview, and we'll run a second interview, and we always end with the same question every single time. If we were to offer you the job, would you take it today? And it's a yes or no. If I got to think about it, it's like we know right then and there if they're committed or not.
Put them on the spot. Love it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about something I want to provide on this podcast, which I think actually when you were asking me while I was on your show, you asked me like, what's your podcast going to be about? And this was like one of the things I said, like, I really want people to walk away from listening to these episodes with something they can do in 10 minutes or less that will help move the needle. And I'm a big believer in micro changes make macro differences. And I think a lot of podcasts, they throw out these giant ideas that are really hard to mentally attain and even do, so then you end up not doing anything. So every episode, I want people to be able to walk away some micro change they can do in 10 minutes or less that's going to help move that sales needle for their organization. What would you tell them to do? They got 10 minutes.
Like, I think we kind of talked about it, just going out there and creating that hundreds list.
That's
Because
good.
everyone's like, well, where do I find them? I'm like, you probably have a list of them right now. Start there.
Yeah.
Take less than 10 minutes, go put that list together. Like, okay, now I have 10 people at the top of this list that I want to work with, and I think that'd be good. Reach out to them, because you can scale a sales team pretty fast. In a home industry, it feels like a lot of people just don't have a sales team. Like they're really good at service, they're really good at their job, they're really good at marketing, they're really good at a lot of things, but then they miss the sales side. Like no one's ever taught them how to do it. And I was one of those same people. Like we were really good at everything else, but we didn't have a sales team. And every training that I've ever been to was never nothing about sales, always about just the business and management and operations. And it was all awesome, but we missed the boat on sales for so long. And so it was like, oh, but this person's going to cost me a lot of money. It's like, if you get the right person in the right seat, they're going to make 5 times what you're paying them. They're going to pay for themselves so easily. And then you're not having people that you're paying, like you said, like you're missing your leads and not following up and not have a good closing. Like, again, some CSRs are great on the phones and love talking to customers that aren't great at sales. I'm going to give them one objection. I'm just going to talk to my husband or wife. And they're like, okay, sounds good. See you later. No, like we make sure that we're at least going over, we make them handle at least 3 objections or 3 smoke screens before they'll let the customer off the phone. And we're not super pushy on the phone, but we still we'll overcome a few concerns,
Yeah.
So I would say the first thing that I would say is just go make the list of 10 people, get yourself a salesperson. That's step 1.
Love it. Very cool. Awesome. So something I've loved ending these episodes with is something a little fun, and it's a good old classic game of Would You Rather, Sales Edition.
Let's do it.
Right?
Cool.
So the one I have for you today is, would you rather earn a base salary of $250,000 with no commission, or a $50,000 base salary with unlimited commission potential?
If it was me, I would want zero salary. Give me the higher commission and let me sell.
Boom.
I think that if you I just said, someone's gonna be really mad at me right now. But if I have a person that comes in that says they've had a sales job before, they've been in sales for a long time, and they're asking for a base pay, of red flags all day long. I've been in this industry a long time to know, like, if I'm a sales guy and I can make straight commission and I know that I can sell, like every single person that listens to this podcast and that all of us friends, we all know that everyone's always looking for good salespeople. Everyone.
Yeah.
So if this guy comes in or girl and they're like, oh yeah, I've been in sales for this long and I'm looking for a job, like red flags all day. So for me personally, give me no base salary. Let me go make my money.
Love it. Great answer. Awesome. Well, hey, thanks for being on the show today. Really appreciate it.
I thought there was gonna be more questions.
No, we do one per episode. Man, there's only so many would you rathers I can come up with. You know,
Yeah.
But thanks for being on the show today. Thank you guys for watching this episode of the 5 Door Media series on sales. I hope you're able to pick up some nuggets, that you can take back, like that 10-minute, that 100-person list. Such a great little nugget that you can start immediately after turning off this podcast. Jonas, thanks for being here today. And how can people get a hold of you or learn more?
Yeah, I'm pretty easy to find these days, to be honest. On all social media. Just type in my name, I'm going to pop up. Even if it's through Pest Badger or Jonas Olson, it's pretty easy to find. So, yeah, look me up. Pretty easy to find. Send me a direct message. I'm pretty good on my phone to responding. So, any questions you guys have, I'd love to help you answer them.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Thanks for being here. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.